My name's James Robinson and I'm the team manager for the medical needs team at Calderdale. I'll give you a bit of background. This is basically where we fit within the service with all the autism, and we fit in with the specialist inclusion team. We also overlap SEN, which is done, and I also kind of overlap attendance as well. I kind of sit across all those. So my team, I've done this job for 13 years now. So next one, please. Yeah, there's three strands to this really. So there's the core stuff that my team do, and then obviously we've adapted, and there's some strategies used through the change program, which is this. But basically my team are a team of teachers. There are 9 of us, and we teach young people who are unable to attend school through a medical condition. 13 years ago it was predominantly year 11 and about half a dozen of them. Over the course of time, mostly physical medical reasons. Over the course of the years, that's dramatically changed to probably we hold about 50 on a caseload, and they're predominantly mental health and anxiety. Most of them, again, are year 10 and year 11, but over the years, it's gradually getting younger and younger and younger and younger. Next one, please. Yeah, so the actual core of it is we work with young people of statutory school age, so 5 to 16 to the end of year 11. But like I said, the most of them are Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, so year 10 and year 11. Next one. Yeah, like I said before, we've got, we've got specialist teachers. There are actually 6 of them. I've got 2 education support officers that I'll talk about in a while, and then myself, who's the coordinator. But we're all teachers from a teaching background. I can't praise any of my staff enough, because as you can imagine, we're teaching young people who present in lots of different ways. We teach the core subjects, maths, English and science, mostly Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4. So just that curriculum knowledge that they've got in their head all the time, as you can imagine, is enormous. In a secondary school, when I worked in secondary school, I just taught maths all day long. That's all I did. Now, so they're teaching maths, they're teaching English language, English lit, they're teaching combined science, at different levels. We teach in different methods, we might do a one-to-one in person. The next hour, who might be somebody with additional needs who's functioning 5 or 6 years younger than they are. The hour later, they might be teaching online, someone who doesn't communicate, won't have the camera on, won't speak. So an hour later, they're in a centre somewhere teaching somebody English. So again, the skill that my team have is unbelievable, and the way that they work with the young people and the families, absolutely amazing. Again, because the year group of referral is dropping and dropping and dropping, we've had to think of, if they were all year 11s, it would be fine, because they do the GCSEs, if they go to college or wherever they want to go, apprenticeship. If they're year 8, year 9, you can see the situation I have. I'm going to be full for a number of years. So on the back of that, the change, if you want to go again, Jemima. This is just saying about what we offer, about most of them being anxious now. Next one. Again, we look at the individual young person. We have a plan. We work with Calderdale Career Service, especially with the 10s and 11s. We look at where they're going to go next. Next one. So on the back of that, over the years, if we get a student referred to us in year 9, year 10, highly unlikely they'll go back into school. I can't think of one in all these years that's actually successfully reintegrated back, either back into their secondary school or into another secondary school, which again it's not a criticism, it's just how it, when they come out, they don't go back. They're probably referred to us by the school late. They might have been out of school for 6 months. Again, we've looked at that. I've looked at that. With the change program, we've looked at that data and thought, if we could be in a school 12 months before they're referred, just when things start to go wrong, we can put some support in school and keep them in school, if you see what I mean. So on the back of that, we've employed 2 education support officers targeting my 3 heavy referring schools who've been heavy on the referral side for the last 3 or 4 years. So they've been in there since Christmas. working predominantly with year 8, year 9 students who are just showing signs of mental health and anxiety, and we've seen a dip in their attendance. That's been the kind of crucial bit to it. And they've been working really well to support those and working with open minds. And again, if you want to go next one, Jemima. And as you can see, I'm a bit obsessed with statistics, but I have to report back to the change programme and they love a good stat. So if you look at these, since Christmas, we've been working with, these are referrals for 8s and 9s with the ESO, the 3 schools compared to others. So 22 to 23, these 3 schools were almost responsible for roughly, we're getting on to half my referrals came from 3 secondary schools for year 8s and year 9s. Since the education support officers have been in, bear in mind, I did this data is from December to May, we're already dropped to 34%. So they're having an impact on these 3 schools already. So again, we want to look at in the future, rolling this out, increasing it into a number of schools. So again, we're aiming at these 8s and 9s. In conversation, if you want to go again, Jemima, please. In conversations with the 2 workers, again, we think we're hitting these young people too late. So I work with the attendance officer and we monitor 15-day absence returns from schools. So from September, we're going to be looking at year 7s. So if we see a year 7 gets returned to us from a school, their attendance data, all of a sudden, 15-day absence, if you start 100% in September, 15-day absence is 92%. So if we're going to monitor from September, attendance data drop. Looking at year 7s who get near this 92% attendance, then look back at the year 6 data, which secondary schools have now, but we can look back at that year 6 and say they were on 98, whatever attendance in year 6, and all of a sudden in year 7, by October we've dropped to near 90, and then maybe look at putting in some support, using the education support officers, again going younger and younger to try and stop it from escalating into year 8, year 9, to the end of year 9, year 10 being referred to as the medical needs team, they don't go back in. Yeah, we get them GCSEs in the core, maths, English, combined science, there's 5 GCSEs, but they're not engaging in school life, they're not involved in that social side of things. Yeah, we can get them to college at the end of that, and and over the years they've been really successful, but it's that period in between where it's all kind of gone a bit wrong. So if you want to go again, please. On the back of that, the third strand to what we're trying to do, these little fellas. So this is an AV1 telepresent robot. Yeah, it's the future. It's what's coming, AI. On the back of that, and trying to think about reintegration back into a school, and again, targeting year 7s possibly or you can see it start to dip their attendance before it gets to, once they get dropped below 90%, went to the 80s, it's harder and harder to get back in. Once they get to 50%, it's virtually impossible as they get them back in. So this, Bob the robot, sits in school, in their classroom to classroom. The young person can access this from home, from another room within school if they feel comfortable or you build up to it. It turns its head, it talks, it flashes, you can speak through that if you so wish. Yeah, fantastic, it will sit there, but schools, I can imagine their faces thinking, I could have 30 of those in a classroom. No teacher, the teacher could be one, you know what I mean? Again, it's a tool. We presented on Friday at the change programme and there were DFE in there, and we're saying it's not an alternative, it's a tool to try and again aid this reintegration back in before it becomes too late. So looking at all these other data and all these targets and, getting early with one of these. I'm talking to a parent at the moment with one, and her daughter's just missed 3 weeks. Now would be the chance to use that while it's still fresh in her mind being in that actual lesson. This can go in the lesson. If we can convince her and talk her into being in the school building, in their learning support centre or whatever, and accessing the lesson via this, yeah, fine. Schools are a bit wary of them, as I can understand. It's a new thing. It's the future, so they're going to have to embrace these sort of AI things. But yeah, I can see where they're coming from. The they're end-to-end encrypted. If you try and screenshot from a laptop when you're on it, it shuts you out. If you try and record, it shuts you out. There's nothing to stop you stand behind your child with a phone recording, but again, you're recording images of people you've got not permission, but you wouldn't use it with a family if you thought they were going to do that. You'd use it as it's a tool, it's not an alternative. If I were 15 and that would go to my lesson and I could sit at home on my Xbox, bring it on, but I'd do it, but it's not, that's not its purpose. Its purpose is to aid reintegration and support these young people to get them back in. So it's a tool, but he'll be out on the table until I do this afternoon if anyone wants to have a look at him. But I've got 14 of these. Well, no, I've got 2 out in schools. We've only had them, this is the 4th week, so I've got 2 in secondary schools already. We've had meetings with all my links with all the secondary schools, and we're gradually trying to chip away at, getting these in. My teachers can offer, I have 150 teaching hours a week, so as you can imagine, we can offer a limited amount of one-to-one input. We can also use that as a tool. If you could have 25 hours if you wanted, if that's sat in school. The 3G enabled, so it can go outside. They did tell me, the AV1, that one went to watch Macbeth once at a performance while the young person was at home. I keep thinking, did it have to pay? Oh, maybe not. But so yeah, the implication, and the uses of these, and schools are interested, obviously.
Back,
yeah, to go back in. They can see the room. We've got one at the moment with a young lady who's she's agreed to go to the learning support unit. Some lessons she feels comfortable going in. It's taken a lot of background work, obviously, and a lot of work from my education support officers with the family and the young person to get her comfortable to go back in the building. Maths, unfortunately, everybody hates it, don't they? Anyway, so it goes to her maths lessons, so she can see what's going on in that lesson. She can feel comfortable, and gradually the plan is monitoring it over a period of time. Like I say, it's not an alternative, it's a tool to reintegrate and either build up the curriculum or build up your time in school. So you're more than welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.